The town of Eldersville had a quiet charm, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests. Its history was rich with tales of early settlers, gold rush dreams, and whispers of the supernatural. But none were as chilling as the legend of Hollow Creek Road. Sarah Parker, a journalist for the Eldersville Gazette, had heard all the local legends, but the one about Hollow Creek Road intrigued her the most. Stories of disappearances, ghostly apparitions, and eerie sounds had circulated for decades, determined to uncover the truth. She set out on a foggy autumn evening with her best friend, Tom, a local historian. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" Tom asked, his voice tinged with apprehension as they approached the entrance to Hollow Creek Road. The old, cracked sign seemed to mock them, its paint peeling and letters barely legible. "We need to know, Tom. There's something here that connects all those stories," Sarah replied, her eyes fixed on the dark, winding path ahead. She clutched her flashlight tighter, its beam slicing through the encroaching mist. They walked in silence, the crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant hoot of an owl the only sounds breaking the stillness. As they ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and an unsettling sense of foreboding settled over them. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to an old milestone partially hidden by the overgrowth. "This must be from the 1800s. Sarah knelt down, brushing away the dirt. The inscription read, "Hollow Creek Road, Est, 1821. She felt a shiver run down her spine. The road had seen countless travelers, some of whom had never made it out. As they continued, the fog thickened and an eerie silence fell. The trees seemed to close in, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Suddenly, Sarah heard a faint whisper, almost indistinguishable from the rustling leaves. "Did you hear that?" she asked, stopping in her tracks. Tom nodded, his face pale. "It's just the wind, right?" But Sarah wasn't convinced. She felt a presence, something watching them, following them. Her heart raced, and she fought to keep her composure. They pressed on, and soon they reached an old, dilapidated bridge spanning a dried-up creek. "This must be where they found those cars," Tom muttered, recalling the stories of vehicles abandoned, without a trace of their occupants. The bridge creaked under their weight, each step echoing in the stillness. Halfway across, they were startled by a sudden, blood-curdling scream. It echoed through the trees, chilling them to the bone. Sarah's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced and writhed. "Let's get off this bridge," Sarah urged, her voice shaking. They quickened their pace, but as they reached the other side, they were met with an overwhelming sense of dread. The air was thick with tension, and a heavy silence enveloped them. Then they saw her. A figure stood in the middle of the road, bathed in the pale glow of the moonlight. She was dressed in a tattered white gown, her long, dark hair obscuring her face. Sarah and Tom froze, their breath caught in their throats. "Who are you?" Sarah managed to stammer, her voice barely a whisper. The figure lifted her head, revealing hollow, sorrowful eyes that seemed to pierce their very souls. "Help me," she pleaded, her voice ethereal and haunting. Sarah took a tentative step forward, but Tom grabbed her arm. "Sarah, no. We don't know what she is." Ignoring his warning, Sarah approached the woman. "What happened to you?" Tears streamed down the woman's cheeks as she spoke. "My name is Emily. I was left here betrayed, murdered. My spirit cannot rest. Sarah's heart ached for the woman. "How can we help you, Emily?" "Find him," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. "The man who did this to me. Bring him to justice so I can be free." Before they could ask more, Emily vanished, leaving behind an oppressive silence. Sarah and Tom exchanged a glance, their fear momentarily overshadowed by determination. "We have to find out who she was talking about," Sarah said, her voice resolute. Tom nodded, agreed. "Let's start at the town archives." The next day they pored over old newspapers, police reports, and town records. Hours turned into days, but they finally found a lead. Emily Simmons had disappeared in 1925, her case unsolved and long forgotten. "We need to find out more about her life," Tom said, pulling out a dusty journal from the archives. It belonged to a local shopkeeper from the 1920s and contained entries about Emily. As they read, a chilling story unfolded. Emily had been a beloved school teacher, engaged to a prominent businessman named Richard Harrington, but their engagement was marred by rumors of infidelity and greed. Emily had confronted Richard, only to disappear shortly after. "Richard Harrington," Sarah muttered. "We need to find out what happened to him." Further digging revealed that Richard had left Eldersville abruptly after Emily's disappearance, his whereabouts unknown, but an old photograph showed him standing in front of a mansion, Harrington Manor, located on the outskirts of town. "We need to go there," Sarah said, determination burning in her eyes. That evening, they drove to the decaying manor, its grand facade now crumbling and overtaken by nature. The air was thick with the scent of decay and dampness as they pushed open the heavy wooden doors. Inside, the house was a time capsule of the 1920s, with dusty furniture, faded wallpaper, and cobwebs draping every corner. Sarah felt a chill as they moved through the rooms, each step echoing in the hollow silence. In the study, they found a desk cluttered with old papers. Among them was a journal, its pages yellow with age. It was Richard's, detailing his life and the events leading up to Emily's disappearance. As they read, a sinister truth emerged. Richard had been involved in shady business dealings and had discovered Emily's intention to expose him. In a fit of rage, he had lured her to Hollow Creek Road, where he ended her life and buried her body near the bridge. "We have to find her remains," Tom said, his voice grim. Back on Hollow Creek Road, they retraced their steps to the bridge. The moonlight cast eerie shadows as they began to dig near the creek bed. Hours passed, and just as they were about to give up, Tom's shovel hit something solid. With trembling hands, they unearthed a skeletal hand clutching a locket. Inside the locket was a photo of Emily and Richard, their smiling faces now a haunting reminder of the past. Sarah felt a surge of emotion, a mix of sorrow and anger. "We found you, Emily," she whispered. "We'll make sure you're at peace." They contacted the authorities, who confirmed the remains were Emily's. Richard Harrington's crimes were finally brought to light, and Emily was given a proper burial in the town cemetery. A few nights later, Sarah and Tom returned to Hollow Creek Road. The air was still, the oppressive sense of dread lifted. As they stood by the old bridge, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and a soft, ethereal light appeared before them. Emily's spirit emerged, her face serene and grateful. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice carried on the wind. "I can finally rest." With a final, peaceful smile, Emily's spirit faded into the night, leaving Sarah and Tom standing in silence. They had uncovered the truth, laid a restless soul to rest, and in doing so had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. As they walked back to their car, Sarah looked at Tom. "We did it, Tom. We finally brought her peace." Tom nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "And maybe, just maybe, we brought a little peace to Hollow Creek Road too." The legend of Hollow Creek Road would live on, but now it would be a story of justice and redemption, a testament to the enduring power of truth and compassion.